So many of us have had the dream, right? But very few people really get what it takes to become a professional poker player. It's a journey that gets wrapped up in myths of easy cash and high-stakes adventure. But the reality? Well, that's a whole different story. Let's dive in and see what it's really all about. Let me just ask you straight up, have you ever been at a table, raked in a really nice pot, and had that little thought in the back of your head, hey, I could actually do this for a living? It's a powerful idea, isn't it? Turning a game you absolutely love into your full-time job? The fantasy we all see is the high-stakes tournaments, the travel, the life-changing paydays. But the reality, it's less like a scene from a Hollywood blockbuster and a lot more like running a small, super intense business. It's all about discipline, solid strategy, and believe me, a whole lot of patience. So where does a journey like this even begin? It's not at the casino, it's not at the card table, it starts right up here, inside your own head. The first, and honestly the most important stage, is all about building a completely rock-solid mental foundation. Before we go any further, let's get really clear on what we mean by professional. A professional poker player isn't just someone who's really good at cards. No, they're someone who earns the majority of their income from the game. And that's the key part, because it means you have to treat it like a business. You're aiming for steady, long-term profit, not just chasing those one-off big wins. To build that professional foundation, you've got to master two completely different arenas. The first is the game itself, the rules, the math, the strategies. The second one, and you could argue it's the harder one, is mastering yourself. Let's start with the game. And listen, this goes way, way beyond just knowing a full house beats a flush. You need to have an almost intuitive feel for probabilities. You have to understand the massive advantage of position, which just means you get to act after your opponents. You got to know how to size your bets to control the pot, and then there's the art of reading people. These aren't just suggestions, they are the absolute price of admission. And that brings us to that second non-negotiable, which this quote just nails perfectly. You can know all the theory in the world, you can be a math whiz, but if your head isn't on straight, you are eventually gonna fail. Your mindset is the thing that separates the wannabes from the actual pros. So what does a winning mindset actually look like? Well, it's having the patience to fold hand after hand, just waiting for that perfect spot. It's the discipline to stick to your game plan even when you're on a losing streak. And maybe most importantly, it's having the emotional control to handle variance. Those are the natural, totally unavoidable swings of luck without going on tilt and letting your frustration just burn through your bankroll. Okay, so you've got that mental foundation in place. Now we move into Act 2. This is where all that theory becomes practice. This is about the consistent, the relentless work you have to put in and day out. So one of the first really big decisions you're going to have to make is where you're going to play. The poker world is basically split into two major arenas. You've got the fast-paced digital world of online poker, or you've got the traditional face-to-face battles of live games. And each one has its own set of trade-offs. Online poker offers just incredible volume. I mean, you can play thousands of hands in the time it takes to play a few hundred live. That's how you get experience fast. Live poker, on the other hand, it's slower, but it brings in that human element, physical reads and tells. And the prize pools in major tournaments are often way bigger. A lot of pros end up doing a mix of both. But no matter where you play, the process of getting better is this constant three-step loop. You study, you're reading books, watching videos, analyzing the theory. Then you practice, you put in a ton of hands to test everything you've learned, and then you analyze. You go back, review your sessions, find your mistakes, and then you start the whole cycle over again. This process, it never, ever stops. And now for our final act. You've got the mind, you've got the skills, you're putting in the work. Now you have to start thinking like a CEO. This part is all about turning your A game into a sustainable career. This right here is the single most important rule in professional poker. Your bankroll is not your winnings. It's your business's capital. It's the tool that lets you go to work every day. And protecting it isn't just a good idea. It is your number one job, period. So how much capital do you actually need? Well, the standard rule of thumb is a bankroll of at least 30 to 50 buy-ins. A buy-in is just the amount of money you'd normally take to the table for one game. So let's say you're playing a game with $100 buy-in. That means you need at least $3,000 to $5,000 set aside just for poker. This giant cushion isn't so you can be reckless. It's a financial shock absorber. It lets you survive those downswings that will happen without going broke. And that leads us to the second golden rule of managing your bankroll. You should never, ever risk more than 1 to 5% of your entire bankroll in a single game or session. This strict discipline is your insurance policy. It's what mathematically ensures that one absolutely terrible day at the tables, and trust me, you will have them, can't put you out of business for good. Running this business also means you have to accept the lifestyle that comes along with it. We're talking about a regular income. Some months are going to be amazing, others are going to be brutal. It means long, mentally exhausting hours, and for live players, it means a ton of travel. It is a grind. Okay, before we wrap this up, let's do a quick final reality check. Let's bust a couple of the most common myths about being a poker pro. First up, the biggest misconception of them all, that poker is just gambling, and it's all about getting lucky. But here's the reality. While luck absolutely affects what happens in the short term, a single hand or even a single tournament, it's skill that determines who's actually making money over the course of months and years. A pro's edge is that they consistently make better decisions than their opponents over and over again. The second big myth is that if you go pro, you're just destined to be a millionaire, flying around on private jets. The truth is much more down to earth. Yeah, the top tiny fraction of a percent make millions, but the vast majority of successful pros make a comfortable but pretty modest living, comparable to any other skilled profession. So, at the end of the day, the path to pro is pretty clear. It means you have to master the fundamentals, build that foundation of mental discipline, commit to constant study and practice, and above all else, treat it like a serious business by protecting your bankroll. And so that's where we'll end. You've seen the reality that's hiding behind the dream. The discipline, the stress, the endless studying, the financial management. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a long, demanding game. So the only question left is, are you ready to play it?
Start a live chat now to join one of our clubs or ask us any questions. Message at bluffingmonkeys24_7 on Telegram or visit bluffingmonkeys.com and start a live chat.